Cosplay. Definition: the practice of dressing up as a character from a film, book, or video game. But what if there was more to it than that? Let's go behind the costumes, behind the creative, behind the makeup. Within this community, there is a beacon of humanity that shines through. A beating heart of inspiration, freedom, and acceptance. It brings people together with no judgment, no agenda, and no prejudice. You can be whoever you want to be, and not be judged for who you are. Here you will hear the real-life stories of the cosplay community rarely ever heard. As we go behind the makeup.
I grew up in New York, in Long Island, in a town called Glen Cove. I grew up in a loving family with my grandparents at the hub. I had a great childhood, bike riding, hiking, adventures in the woods with all my friends, going to the beach, all that kind of stuff kids do. We didn't have everything, but then again, we did. My parents split up when I was young, and although I wasn't the oldest, a lot was put on my shoulders because I was the most responsible. Sometimes I hated it, but it prepared me for things to come. I realized when I was young that I had a knack for making things. It was good figuring out how to do things. It kind of made up for the medical issues that I had. I spent a lot of time indoors because I had issues with my bones, which later on in life ended up healing. Okay, I married my sweetheart Barbara 31 years ago. She was actually my bodyguard when I was a DJ in a rapper way back in the days anyway. And she's been looking after me since then. She was there for me through my military stuff. We lived in Germany for a while, and early on in my career, kids grew up there, and they all had to move around a lot when we went from one place to another, from continent to continent. And she basically just stood by me and took care of all the kids. When I was 27, I joined the United States Army. In the early part, I signed up for the National Guard for 2 years. After that, I was released to the regular Army, and I served for 25 years. While in the military, I got kind of banged up here and there. Also had some illnesses, also was exposed to some kind of things that gave me nerve damage issues. I've had surgeries on my right leg, both my shoulders, my right arm, my right hand. I have some discs that are banged up, messed up in my back, and I have a lot of nerve damage from something that I was exposed to. My son has suggested one time that since I was artistic as a child, it might be good for me to do some cosplay. And then finally I decided, let me look. One night I went on the internet and I looked up this cosplay thing. And I was amazed at what was being done, what people were making, how they were doing it, the level of expertise they had. And then I tried making it. After a while, about 2 weeks, I had my first Iron Man suit. Now, I have a niece. It turns out that she was a cosplayer. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know it existed. And when she found out, she bugged me about going to a con until I finally said, okay, I'm gonna go. So my wife and I met her and her boyfriend at the con, and I was hooked, never looked back. Okay, I work with a group called the Marts Foundation, and the founder is a man called Zach Hurst. And MUT stands for Makers United for Children's Hope. They raise money to get prosthetic limbs for children whose families can't afford them, and take care of hospital bills and just little things to make their life better. You know, help them get better wheelchairs. And this is one of the things that falls in line with the way I am anyway. I always want to try to give back because I believe everything happens to us for a reason. And if we have these good things happening, then we need to be doing something else with it, you know, other than just using it for accolades, you know. So I met Zach at MegaCon, and this guy is amazing. I mean, he was putting his own money into all this stuff, and you know, between doing things to get donations and what have you. We visit kids at Shriners hospitals. We do Toys for Tot parades. We go to the baseball stadium for Heroes Night to promote things like this. It's one of the things that it's been an amazing part of my life. I met a little boy who was in a Spider-Man costume. He's in a wheelchair, 2-year-old, but he loves Iron Man. And when he saw me in the Iron Merman there, he had to come to me, and he was reaching for my hand. Cosplay gave me my life back. It rehabilitated my hand. I had way better than physical therapy. My vertigo is at the point now where I have between 10 and 15 minutes that if I'm not actively engaged in something, it gets so bad I have to be put to bed, and I can lose my whole day. It's getting better now, but before it was definitely, I went to bed, I didn't get better till the next day. I went to sleep, it was like a reset. If I'm not working on something, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm nervous because I know it's going to get to me and I can't recover. Can't tell up from down, left from right. It's kind of like being hit by a wave in a pool. Before this, once I got over being in hospitals and stuff all the time, I really didn't have a life. I can't drive anymore. I have to get my wife or my son to take me someplace if I need to go any place and do anything. So I can't do anything on my own. So I basically just had nothing to do if I wasn't going to doctor's appointments. Now I have something to do every day when I get up. I already know what my plans are, and it's the plans that I'm making my own. And this is what I do, and this is a medication for me, and I absolutely love it.
In a world where Trumps are no longer funny, where an evil empire has taken over, where our very freedom is at stake, there is one community that refuses to bend the knee. One who celebrates individuality, prides itself on kindness. Cosplayers, come watch Behind the Makeup.